So I've tried almost all the journaling methods you can try and all the different journal types. I've tried writing morning pages into bigger notebooks like this one. I've tried bullet journaling and using modular notebooks like this where you can actually reorganize the pages and separate different parts of the notebook with flappy thingies like this. And I've used pocket notebooks like this to log every hour of my day, my water consumption, my wake up times, my climbing grades, my work time. But none of this has really helped me to develop myself further. But through all this trial and error, I've come up with my own journaling method. A very simple journaling method that you can use to encourage and track your personal development. And you can also use it as your task manager and as a way to process your ideas. And I call it the Unlazy Journal. But here's how it works. First of all, you need two things, a notebook and a pen. I like to use an A6 pocket notebook, hardcover with dotted pages. And then for the pen, well, I just like to use gel pens, but you can use any pen you like. Okay, let's first talk about the organization of the notebook. Now here's a key thing. I separate this notebook into two different sides. Side number 1 is for workouts. And then if I flip it like this, side number 2 is for ideas and tasks. I do this because, at least for me, a workout journal and a task/idea manager, they serve two different purposes and I don't want them to get mixed. In addition, what I like to have is some sort of color coding for different types of activities like mobility, stretching, endurance, strength, and skill training. Then on the first pages, I like to list all my PRs. And then what I've done with my previous notebooks, and which I'll do again, is to include some sort of a habit tracker on the first few pages. And now let's talk about what do I write in it. At the start of the week, I write down the week number. Then every morning, I write down the date and the day. And then I jot down some metrics that really give me a good understanding of where I am with my recovery. So I write down how much I slept, what's my HRV or heart rate variability, what's my resting heart rate, and what's my weight. Now I get all this data from Whoop, not sponsored, but you can use most sports watches or activity trackers to get these metrics. And this little box in itself doesn't tell me that much. It's more about the average numbers and the trends that I'm looking at when I'm assessing my recovery. And after writing down these metrics, I flip my notebook and then just skim through my tasks and ideas from the previous days. And the way I write down all these tasks and ideas is borrowed from the bullet journaling method. So each task is marked with a little circle. And when I'm done with the task, I just make a cross. And if a task is very important, I might add this kind of thing. I don't know, is it an asterisk? I don't know what it is. Every idea is marked with a hyphen. And if I have a really inspirational idea, I might add an exclamation mark. And just by glancing through the past few days, I usually get a good understanding of what are the tasks I should be working on and whether I should take some action on different ideas I've written down. And then on the other side of the journal, on the workout side, as the day goes by, I mark down all my training and personal development activities. For each activity, I write down the activity and then how long the activity took. That's like default. But then everything below that varies based on the activity. And this is something you might need to try and find yourself. I only write down things about the activity that help me track progress in that activity. So what does that mean? For strength training, it means I write down the exercise, the sets, and the repetitions. For endurance activities, it usually means I write down the distance, the pace, my heart rate, and my cadence. For, let's say, Rubik's cubing, it can mean writing down the number of algorithms I learned that day. And for climbing, it might mean writing down all the grades or climbs I did that day. And this is the part that you really need to, try out yourself and think about it. Like, what are the metrics that I can use to track and analyze my progress? Every sport and every skill has its own metric that you can track. But don't track everything. I've also done that. Like here in my previous notebook, I tracked every hour of my day. And if you track everything, it becomes really hard to know what information is important and what is useless. And, it makes it harder to see progress. So just remember the KISS principle here. Keep it simple, stupid. And then after the activity, I might write down some notes. And usually I just write about how I felt and whether there were any problems with the activity and whether there are any ways to improve next time. And then I write down all these activities and notes throughout the week. And then comes the really important part, the reflection part. So at the end of the week, I dedicate one page for week results or weekly results. And again, I try to keep it really simple. I calculate how many times I did each activity. And this is also where the color coding helps a lot. So like if I want to know how many times I did mobility, I just go through the week and see how many blue things I can see on the pages, and then I know how many times I did mobility, because mobility is color coded blue in my notebook. And then I also sum up the time all these activities took. Then I simply add up all the hours and I get a total time I dedicated for personal development that week. And you can get a really good understanding of where your training is going just by looking at these two metrics, frequency and volume. So how many times you did a specific activity and then how much time you spent on it. Like you can pretty quickly estimate how good of an athlete someone is based on their weekly volume. So if someone is consistently training for 24-5 hours a week, you can tell they're a pretty good athlete already at that point. Of course, even a novice can bump up their volume to like 24 hours for 1 week, but that's probably only for 1 week, because then they will be injured and there will not be 24 hours of training the next week. And especially if you are a multi-sport athlete, volume is key. And once I've calculated all these frequencies and volumes, I draw a little box. And I put 4 metrics in it. My total sleep hours for the week, my total strain for the week, my average HRV for the week, and my average resting heart rate for the week. And these 4 metrics really give you a good understanding of what kind of intensity and strain you put your body through that week, and how your body recovered from that strain you put your body through. And let me just explain these metrics a bit. So a good goal for the total amount of sleep you get each week would be like 56 hours, 8 hours a night. Getting anywhere below 50 for me would be really bad, and my goal would be to get 60 hours of sleep, but I never seem to get that. And then the strain, well, that's just a metric from Whoop again, but you could also use RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. I'll put some links down for RPE, so if you don't know what that is, you can look it up, and you could use that to measure the strain you put your body through during the week. And then also these HRV and resting heart rate, they're from Whoop. So put very simply, for example, if your HRV keeps declining week after week, it indicates that your body never really gets to recover from all this strain you're putting it through. And similarly, if your resting heart rate keeps going up, it's not a good sign. It means you're perhaps overtraining your body. And all these metrics give me a really good base for analysis. Very simply, what I would like to see is to see constant frequency, so I do the activities every week with consistency, and I would also like the volume to at least be steady, or the volume to be climbing if the season is progressing and I'm getting closer to a race or an adventure. And I also want to see that my body has recovered from all this volume and frequency I put it through. If I see that my HRV has been trending lower and I feel like I haven't recovered, then I might look at my sleep. Have I slept enough? Or the other way to do it also is to decrease my strain. And all this analysis I write down here. So I write down the pluses and I write down the minuses. Very, very simple analysis, but sometimes I find really good nuggets just by looking at my training journal. And as an additional motivator, I also write down any PRs and milestones I achieved that week. And then after those pluses and minuses, I try to come up with action points for the future. Like, because I had this minus, I should do X to improve it or to fix the problem. So every reflection should end with some sort of action plan for the future week. How am I gonna improve from this? But I think that the key thing would be to find the metrics for each activity that you want to progress in, then track those metrics, and then every week, or at least every month, analyze all those metrics that you have. It doesn't really matter how you do it, how you write it down, but this is the way I do it, and it's been really motivating, and it's been, it has helped me progress further. God, I feel like this was really not not clear. I'm just been rambling here for so long. I don't know. Okay, I need to go. Bye-bye.